Plastic model builders, hello, welcome back. This is one of our final episodes of the B-17G. It's a Revell model, 1/48 scale. You guessed it, we're putting on all the decals. So you just saw me put on the F decal. It's a hard one to do because it's an F and lots of little lines on there and it flops around, so be careful. You see how I did that there, where in the previous video, if you didn't see that, go watch it, where I cut out and masked an F. That way we had the silver all around that. I forgot to do it for that triangle, so it bleeds through a little bit. So please remember to also do it for the triangle. A little bit of extra so the silver shows through. So we've got little decals all over the place on this model. These ones here are going for the little wing hinges. I imagine there would be on the real plane bolts that come off and then you tighten it down. What you're seeing here is pinstriping. I masked off the wing. You can do this in pinstripes if you actually want, or paint them on. I painted mine on. You see I have my tape there and a marker pen. Flat black, it's a Testors. Worked very well for me, as you can see. I did 2 coats of it, maybe 3, depending on how dark I wanted it to get. I peel it off, and as you can see, it came out very nicely. So we're doing it in 2 sections, though. This is the first section. Everything going left and right on this wing, as you can see. That's how I did that, and you see that replacement panel that I did there from the previous video. Watch it again so you can see it. So now we're doing the up and down, north south, however you want to call it. Vertical, the vertical lines. I knew they had a name. And there you go. So that's what they look like on this aircraft, on the B-17G. Now you see we got 2 of these decals here. One's big, one's small. Make sure you put the proper one on the right part of the aircraft. Just a hint. So now more little decals. They're, like I said, they're all over the plane. This is the El Lobo 2 because something had happened to the El Lobo and they made a part 2. So that's the name of this aircraft. Easy model to find, by the way. You can get it at your box store, online, all sorts of things. Here's a decal for the front turret. Push that all the way down. Goes closer towards the fuselage body part of the plane. And remember, the guns do move. So here's the other star decal. One of this, I believe this is a smaller one. The bigger one goes onto the wings. And you can see a difference there based on my thumb. That's a very big decal. Make sure you put it in the right spot. 2 of those, one on the front side and one on the underside of the other wing. Little things, I think these are for where you would put the fuel. Different fuel tanks all over this entire aircraft. Make sure you get all of these, like 7 or 8 of them, I think. I don't know. It's a lot. You know, it's real model making madness, so make your aircraft look pretty, because I did. So you see that lovely olive drab color that we did previously in the last video. So check it out. It's part of this series. Got all these little decals. I really wish I knew what all of them were for, but I don't. Unfortunately, that's okay. We have a lot of them. Just take your time. These are the bottom parts of these decals, and then we'll put on the top parts that go just above this area. I don't know what it's called. I know it's the leading edge of the wing, but not the front leading edge like in the F-18F Super Hornet that I did. Here we go. More decals. I know, it's a lot of them, and this is the top portion of those, where those little thingies are. Please tell me what these are, because I would like to know what they say. You can't read these decals because they don't actually have words on them. It looks more like just mumble jumble, but put it on there because you're supposed to. And here are more of these. Got 3 or 4. Make sure those go into the correct spot. We've got our letter U. I believe that was the squadron. I'm not exactly sure. You can find one of these, I know, a picture online. May not be the exact plane, but it's definitely of the U. Anyway, here we go. We are putting the cowl onto the engine itself. I'll show you 2 ways to do that. There was the first way, and then this is the other way. You just go all around the base and make sure it fits. Just like that. And there you have it. Very simple. Put on the decal. Why one of those is a different color, I don't know. I'm sure somebody will tell me, and feel free to. There's got to be a logical explanation for it. So you see each engine gets 2 decals, just like that. That's where we're going to put them. Just like so. There's 2 of them. Paint the bolts silver, of course, before you put on the propeller. I think I went silver all the way around this just because my painting skills were not very good when I did this engine. But that's okay. Put in this little pin right here. Make sure it turns nicely. And you see you kind of have to push this down with something to make sure it goes in. It's a very tight fit and the prop will spin. Hopefully, if it does not, you can redo it. I didn't even glue it down because you don't have to. Here's the other part of the wing, as I said. You know, he gets 2 of these things and more little decals. Can't get enough of these little guys right here. Remember, watch this whole video because you never know what interesting things you might see pop up. It's always a plus. Something unique always happens, I'm sure, and it makes you go, huh. So here are these things, 1 on each side. Don't know what those say either. Bunch of mumbo jumbo. I cannot read, I would say about 95% of these little decals. I have no clue what any of them say. And the reason I did the props earlier, that way it gives some of the front time to dry, because you don't want you putting your hands all over some of this stuff. I kind of call it time management. Work on some things while you're letting other stuff dry. That way you can finish models faster. It is a thing. I don't know how many people do it, but I do. You see that exhaust that I weathered from the last video, so remember, if you didn't see that, go check it out, and I'll show you how I even drill out those holes with a power drill. Use 2 separate types of drill bits. We did that, and I think they turned out very well. These are the turbochargers, superchargers. There's debate about what those are called. You can also see those 2 little holes that I poked there on the underside for each one of those. Look, only 2 more of the letter G left, 1 on each side. There we go. Those are done. This model did turn out very well. So we are going to put our supercharger in. This is part of it, part of the exhaust, I believe. Not exactly sure how it goes. I think it kind of sticks out of the plane and pops right back into it on the real version. Just glue that down. Let it set up. Do the other side. Remember, there's 2 of these. I tried to make it look as rusty as possible. I don't know how well I did, but you know, I think it looks fairly decent weathering. Critique me on it. I'm learning. It's okay. Not a harsh critique, just like a hey, try doing this method. Here's one that I saw on a you know, one of our favorite social networking sites. Anyway, glue the props down, make sure they all line up properly with the colors. As you see, I did mine because remember I separated everything out. You can also glue it down that way. All sorts of ways to glue these down. And there you go, it moves. Now we are putting on a clear coat. This is to seal in the decals. And in addition to doing that, we will weather it in the next video. So I want you to stick around for that video when it comes out in 2 weeks. That's been my average. So we're putting in the landing gear. The directions call for you to do this long time before they're even in the plane, but you have to do a little maneuvering to get them in if you do it this way. So just kind of start by putting in the back, then putting in the front. Wedge them in there. Then you've got the front portion. You'll see right here, this is the other side. Kind of a different angle. How I did this, I put the glue on each little pin instead of directly when I insert it. So now we have the front portion. You see this view here. We're going to put this in right down there on that little area. So here's how you could do this. Put some glue on here. You've got to really make this fit. Kind of put in one side, then the other. Push it in. Mount it to the little bracket that I'm pushing in right there. And make sure that gets seated all the way. So make sure your bottom of that is flush. And this is how I do this. And that's that right there. It turned out very nicely. I'm proud of that, and just a nice little shot of getting all that glue around there. I painted the wheels with my paint pen, just trying something different instead of using a you know, an airbrush. So I think it turned out very nicely. I'm happy with it. Just go all the way around. Not going to show you all of it, of course, just this little bit, and then just kind of going around the other side, right like that. And this will pretty much wrap up that wheel. Lovely black color. So in this version of the aircraft that I have, and whoever set the pin right here did it wrong in the die, so you got to drill this out, otherwise your aircraft will sit funny and you will be like, what is going on here? And you will think you are crazy because your plane is not working right. Well, the die is a problem. So the square peg there is fine as long as you round out the insert of the wheel. Then just put these on like this, find yourself a nice flat base, and there you go. That's it. So thank you for watching this episode. Stay tuned for the next one. In 2 weeks, we put in a gun, weather it. You know how it goes. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, and like. And of course, until next time, see ya.